Hey there, it's Nerida here from Feed Excel. I want to show you a run through Feed Excel just to give you an example of how it will work for a growing horse. So this little horse is a filly. She doesn't have a name, so I'm just going to enter her as filly. So we click on this create horse button here and put in her name that's not a name. Now she's a quarter horse cross, so if we go down the list and find the quarter horses and put her in as quarter horse cross, she's a filly. And her current activity, she's growing, but she's not in any sort of work, so we'll put her as growing, not in work. Now, she was born in November 2018, so it makes her about 18 months old at the moment. We're estimating her weight. I've got a photo of her. It's a bit hard to estimate her weight off that, but here she is. She's quite cute. She's got this spotty little blaze. She's a pretty compact little thing, so I'm going to say around 420 kilos, but I would suggest doing the body weight calculator when she arrives at the new owner's place, so measuring around their girth and then measuring this length and putting those measurements in here to get an estimate of body weight. Now, being a quarter horse cross, she's probably eventually at some point in her life going to end up as an easy keeper, but I'm going to just say normal keeper for now because we don't know her. And based on that photo, I'm going to say she's a moderate condition score. It's near impossible to correctly condition score a horse from a photo when you go above condition score 5. So we may or may not be right, but it's really that question is really there just to make you think about what condition your horse is in and whether you need to put some weight on, take some weight off. It doesn't actually have any impact on the end results. Now, again, we don't know her very well, so we're going to assume that she doesn't yet have any of these conditions and hopefully won't later in life, but you could enter in here if she was prone to things like laminitis or tying up, but she's not, so we just tick none and then we can move on. Now, because she's virtually unhandled, and I'm definitely unbroken, but virtually unhandled, so she's actually going to be staying in a yard. So at this point where we're asked whether we have any free choice pasture, I will say no. She is going to have access to plenty of hay, so I might actually put it in here that yes, she does have access to free choice hay, and we'll say she has 16 to 24 hours. And then we want to use this advanced builder. So this is what allows us to build in pasture or hay. So we'll create this forage because we haven't actually created a forage for this little girl anymore. And her soon-to-be owner has said she'll have oat and hay available. And then there's also going to be lucerne and grassy lucerne. But as a free choice forage, because oaten is the grass amongst all of them, and probably like the highest fibre and the one that will take the longest to eat, I'm going to say it would be the best one to use as the free choice hay. So we'll add it in here. We'll just say that the quality is good, and then we set it to 100% of the free choice forage that this horse has got access to. So it'll go in there, and Feed Excel will now automatically calculate the amount of that hay that should be added to the diet to fill her up, essentially. So she'll keep eating until she's completely full. Now, the new owner, I'm just going to put in here proposed diet, because she's not actually got her and not actually feeding her yet, but the proposed diet is going to be that oat and hay, and then there's some lucerne hay that's 75% lucerne or alfalfa, depending on where you are in the world, and 25% grass hay. So I'll choose this one here, so 25% C3 type grass, so that's your temperate grasses, and then 75% legume, so in this case it will be a lucerne. And then she's also got access to lucerne or alfalfa hay if you're not in the southern hemisphere. So we'll put in here, so she's got free access to oat and hay, and then she's got a choice of these two hays. So with young horses, what you need to be careful about is not using too much lucerne because it shifts your calcium phosphorus ratio too far in favour of calcium. So you need to be a little bit aware of how much you are feeding. But I'm going to put 2 kilos of the straight lucerne and then 2 kilos of the 75% lucerne, 25% grass in there. So this is all at this stage is being proposed to be fed this little girl. So it's a lovely diet, and that there's heaps of forage in there. What's going to be missing, which we can see showing up here on our summary table, is that there's some minerals that are too low, and there's going to be some vitamins that will be too low as well. So on the results, you get this summary tab. You can check the diet as we've entered it. So here's your free choice oat and hay. So it's estimating she'll eat about 4.4 kilos of that oat and hay a day, and then we're hand feeding her the 2 kilos of the grassy lucerne and the 2 kilos of the straight lucerne. Now, if you're a numbers person, you can come to the nutrient table in this pink tab here, and it will show you down in this RDI, so recommended daily intake column, how much of each of these minerals this little filly needs. So if we have a look, for example, at calcium, it's telling us that she needs 42.9 grams of calcium per day, but she's receiving, she is receiving 56.8 grams of calcium. So she's actually meeting her calcium requirement at 132%, which is perfect. So if you're worried about it being above her actual requirement, you can have a look over here and see that, yes, it's being exceeded, but it's still within safe range, and that her upper safe level for calcium is 168 grams per day, or 392% of her recommended daily intake. So it's well and truly within safe levels. If we take a look at copper, she needs 168 milligrams of copper per day, but is only on this forage-only diet. She's only receiving 74 milligrams. So it's showing us that only 44% of her recommended daily intake is being met per day, and VitaXL is saying, please increase the copper requirement. So if you like me, you may like visuals better. And we can see here on this visual, which is the graph, which requirements are being met and which requirements are not being met. So this little filly's, one of the owner's main concerns is this going to be enough to have her growing well? So the first thing I noticed when looking at this graph here is that the digestible energy requirement, so this is the calories and what is going to actually drive growth, is sitting here at 76.8%. Now, to me, and remember, we've estimated her body weight, so it would be really important to go back and actually check her body weight properly. But to me, this is going to be too low for her. So she may look okay on that much hay without any other feed going in the diet, but she may not grow very well. And so one of the owner's main concerns is, am I feeding her well enough, or will I be feeding her well enough to grow? So that's one thing that we need to address with a supplementary feed or supplements plus other chosen raw materials. And then the other thing that we really need to address in a young horse is these mineral deficiencies. So phosphorus, copper, zinc, selenium, manganese and iodine are all a bit low for a growing horse. And then we've got vitamin E and vitamin B1 and folic acid down here that are a little bit low as well. So probably the easiest way to fix this, and it depends whether you want to add a feed or whether you want to add a supplement, but I would say with this one, for people like me who like simplicity and don't like to have to mix up a whole lot of things, we want to fill this calorie gap. So why don't we see if we can fill this calorie gap and at the same time fill all of these mineral gaps. And the easiest way to find a single ingredient that will do that for you is to click on this Find Feeds to Fix This Diet button here. So what this will do when I click on it, please read the information here, it's basically saying these are not recommendations. It's just VitaXL is assessing all of the feeds in its database for you, and will pick out based on numbers the products that will meet requirements. So it's really important you go back and read the feed labels, that you check out the company and you make sure that you're happy with the quality of the feed and the quality control of the feed from that company. Now, I've asked this little filly's owner, I'll just click on this button. Sorry. So what this will do is now searching through the database of feeds, and it will find the ones that will best fit the filly's diet, and it's going to give them to us by manufacturer. So you'll see quite a few different manufacturers come up that have feed ingredients that will fill all the gaps in this filly's diet. Now, I asked this little filly's owner if she has a preference for feed company, and she said either High Gain or Pride. So we'll have a look down here. I'll just move myself out of the road. So if we just open the High Gain one here, we can see High Gain All Rounder, Grow Talk, Prodigy. There's quite a number of them here. So, and straight away I can see, so High Gain Grow Talk at 1.43 kilograms per day, because that's a growing horse feed. So it's going to be set up with the proteins and the amino acids that a growing horse needs. And also down here, High Gain True Breed. So it's really going to depend on what your preference for feed type is. Grow Talk being an open feed or a sweet feed, and True Breed being a cube type feed. So it just depends what you like to feed. And then if we have a look underneath prides, again, there's a few there, but if we go through and have a look, we've got Easy Prep, which is set up for growing horses, and Easy Feed 2 as well, also set up for growing horses. So it just depends on which feed you would like. I'm going to go purely based on feed amount here. So if I have a look, let's try the High Gain Grow Talk at 1.4 kilograms per day. So we go back to our diet. Go back to, just click this previous step and go back to the create diet step. Now, by far the easiest way to find these feeds is to type the feed name into this feed tool here, the search tool here, and find the Grow Talk. And it wanted us to feed it. We'll put it in at just at 1.43. I'm not expecting that you would weigh it that accurately every day. So we'll have a look and see what that should have done is meet all of those vitamin and mineral requirements, and we'll just see how much of an impact it had on the energy level. So straight away you can see here the lighter blue colour is the High Gain Grow Talk. So it's brought our recommended daily intake of energy up to 86.5. Now that may be enough for her. Remembering she's a quarter horse, stock horse cross, so probably a good doer. And what I would suggest, because you don't know her yet, what I would suggest is starting with something like this that is not a whole lot of feed, because what you don't want to do is assume that, you know, she's going to need 100% of this requirement and all of a sudden have her growing like a steam train, and getting away from you in terms of growth or condition at such a young age. So it's probably a good place to start. And then, you know, once she's settled in and adjusted, you can adjust this and increase or decrease the amount of calories. So you could add some extra extruded lupins or micronized lupins in there, or you could add some oil, or you could add some oats or an extruded corn or barley. It just depends what your preference is for raw materials. But the nice thing we're seeing here is that now that feed is topping up all of these vitamin and mineral levels, so her levels of nutrients are met. And there's no deficiencies in there, so it's probably a pretty good place to start. What we can do is check one of the prides options. So if we say Easy Prep at 1.62 kilos, just to see. I mean, you can play around and change diets and check things out, adjust things as much as you like, which is a nice thing about FeedXL. So if we put Easy Prep in here, and added at 1.62 kilograms per day, and check the results again. We've come a little bit higher on the calorie level, but again, all of your vitamin and mineral levels are met. So that would also be a good option for her. If you are wanting to add a feed, you could, of course, check out, you could take that feed out of the diet, use these fine supplements to fix this diet, and find a balancer pellet, and then top up with some calorie options like lupins or beet pulp or copper meal or grains. I mean, there's lots of full fat soybean. There's lots and lots of different ways we could actually meet requirements on this diet. But that's just a couple of really simple ways with two feeds that would meet requirements. You may also have a preference for non-grain, so you could look at using Easy Sport if the filly has got any history of, say, tying up or laminitis in her family. I would say it's probably a good way to go, is actually looking at using something non-grain there. But yeah, that's a bit of a rundown. So the really interesting thing for me is, if you don't have one of those feeds in there, take it out again. There's a bunch of deficiencies that you won't see for quite a while, the negative impact of them, but they're there lurking around, and they will definitely negatively affect her joint development and lifetime health of her bones and joints, which is something that we all think about when we breed and are feeding young horses. So she definitely needs something in the way of supplementation, but what you choose to do is really up to you.